Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni, the great Malabite. Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufa.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MK Abiola.
Good morning, Mr. Ifeni.
Yes, you are smiling, as always. Ruben.
Ifeni, no comment.
Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. Now, the lead story, Oba of Benin, Obaseki, set for showdown over looted artifacts. Federal government demands unconditional repatriation from Germany. Now, this is big in Benin City, and I hope it will not explode beyond Benin City. Now, while the governor, Godwin Obaseki, and the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, are in Germany negotiating for the release of looted artifacts. How these artifacts will be kept, stored, and displayed is now becoming the bone of contention. According to this report, while the Oba of Benin, Omonoba Nedo Ukwa Eware II, the Oba of Benin, prefers that a museum be built within the palace premises, where these returned stolen artifacts will be displayed. Governor Obaseki has a different idea. He's talking about a trust that will take possession, and a museum will be built in conjunction with the federal government, the state government, and this private, the palace, as well as a private trust. Well, I don't see much difference. The most important thing is that these artifacts be brought to Benin, back to the country. They've been adorning museums across the world. So we need a befitting museum in Benin City where these artifacts will also be displayed. Whether in the Oba's Palace, somewhere in Benin City, the Oba's Kingdom, I don't think that should be much of a problem. But, of course, there is history. The Oba of Benin, for the first time, will address a press conference today. And more details will be unveiled from his end. And I'm sure Nigerians will conclude whether indeed the governor is actually frontally confronting the Oba of Benin. But again, from the report, a certain chief, according to the governor, who this day reached in Germany, a certain chief is misinforming the Oba of Benin. But I know the Oba of Benin, this Oba of Benin, king, diplomat, and who once described himself as the most swagalicious traditional ruler, is not one that will be led by the nose by a certain chief. But again, the history of 1897.
Yeah, the invasion.
Yes, 1897, when the British invaded Benin City in what they call punitive expedition, looted these artifacts, and of course the role played by a certain Obaseki, the forebear or the great-grandfather of the current governor, of course, is coming to play in this story. But again, let me just go to other stories before I come to you, Ruben, Rufai, and Tundu. The New Telegraph newspaper, Nigeria democracy may collapse before 2023. UK government warns. Country at crossroads, fire me. Buhari upholding democratic tenets. Councillors Forum. Yes, according to this report, the British Development Director, Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, Chris Beecroft, in a goodwill message yesterday at the launch of the Nigerian Governors Forum Peace and Inclusive Security Initiative in Abuja, said conflict represents an existential threat to Nigeria's unity and its development. Yes, according to Beecroft, Nigeria is facing peace and security challenges. The rise, quoting him now, the rise in conflict risks destabilizing Nigeria's democracy in the run-up to the 2023 election. Well, the politicians should chew on that and know how to conduct themselves, and the federal government that controls all the levers of security. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper has the same story, Nigeria's democracy at risk. British government warns. That's the Daily Sun. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, PDP mocks unachieved as she denies membership of APC. Fireworks in Senate at her screening for INEC job. What's wrong with somebody saying, I was APC member yesterday, I'm no longer a member today. Please confirm my nomination. But there is no barometer to check whether there's still partisanship in our bloodstream. So she's no longer a member according to her. Now let's move on to other stories. The Daily Trust newspaper, how mop up by agencies, neighboring countries pushes food prices up. Anchor borrower beneficiaries buying finished products to hoard, a Greek minister alleging. Says central bank collecting grain instead of cash. We only mop up extra harvest, Apex Bank. World Food Program, ECOWAS in rush for maize, millet, others. But this is a question we must ask. We only mop up extra harvest, Apex Bank. Is CBN also an agri department that mop up agri products? Is this CBN not doing too much, Ruben?
Well, we've made that point again and again.
Mopping up crops, CBN? Well, I'll come back to you, Ruben. Now, Vanguard newspaper, Nigeria's heading for insolvency with new loans. Experts force continuous borrowing to finance consumption. Says 410 naira to the dollar exchange rate assumption unrealistic. Pressures coming from exchange rate volatility. Now, the Guardian newspaper, federal government to clamp down on ARIC by Courtney as debts hit 37 billion. Mandate 100% fares refund for 2-hour flight delay. By Courtney denies OIFAN, aviation minister. Why federal government will regulate use of drones? Air crashes report of late chief of army staff to be ready next week. AIB releases probe report on 8 serious incidents. Now, the Business News newspaper, multi-choice in alleged 1.8 trillion tax fraud. Well, the News Direct reporting this story, the same story, alleged VAT evasion. FIROS appoints banks to recover 1.8 trillion from multi-choice. We are yet to receive FIROS notification, multi-choice. That's News Direct newspaper also reporting that story. Now, the Leadership newspaper, Leadership Friday is called today. 48 hours after kidnap of 140 students, bandits abduct 15 in Kaduna, demands 180 million ransom. Boko Haram abduct travelers in Borno. Violence has become a commodity in Nigeria. Abdul Salami, former head of state. 76,000 persons killed in 10 years, governor. Now, the Punch newspaper, Kaduna Baptist School students, parents panic as bandits threaten starvation, demand 30 bags of rice. List, imported rice, 10 bags. Local rice, 20 bags. Beans, 20 bags. Maggi, 10 cartons. 10 kegs of palm oil. PTA school raise fund. Items ready for delivery. Bandits call being awaited. Prayers hold today. Bandits asking for all this list of foodstuff, and they will be delivered. And the security agencies cannot apprehend anybody. Well, I'm not sure we're handling our security situation the right way. Now, let's just look at foreign newspapers quickly. The Guardian UK, easing of quarantine rules opens summer travels to 100 countries. Yes, changes benefit people living in England, but not Britons returning. Those returning, Britons living abroad returning will still quarantine. But with this ease, the rule change for amber list countries, which will come into effect on July 19. Popular destinations in Spain, Greece, France, and Portugal are now awaiting summer holiday makers. And of course, the airlines in the UK are being besieged with bookings. Now, the Wall Street Journal newspaper, quickly, Pfizer will ask US to clear booster for COVID-19 variants. Yes, Pfizer, the pharmaceutical giant, is on top of his game, and it will be seeking clearance for the US regulator in the coming weeks to distribute a booster shot to heighten protection against infections. Yes, the company is also plans to start clinical trials in August of an updated version of its vaccine that will better protect against the Delta variant. Ruben Rufai and Tundu, over to you.
Well, quickly, you referred to the CBN earlier on. Yes, on this program on many occasions, we have talked about the CBN, probably overstretching itself, filling the gap, what they call the gap theory at the time in Abuja. But I think as part of its inflation management and price stability measures, the CBN can show an interest in the grains reserves, in the grains supply. Don't forget, just wait. Don't forget that the CBN has projects in Niger State and also, I think, in other states of the Federation, whereby it's been supporting the agricultural sector and encouraging,
about the anchor borrowers.
Yes, but you can make the point about what is the Ministry of Agriculture doing? What is the level of collaboration between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Central Bank of Nigeria, particularly with regard to some of those CBN interventions in the face of a galloping inflation rate and, the crisis of COVID-19. But I would like to talk about Benin, the front page story of this state. Now, I think you are looking for trouble, if any, when you went back to history. You were trying to present this as maybe history repeating itself between the great-great-grandson of Oba of Benin and the great-great-grandson of Chief Obaseki, who during the interregnum, 1897 to 1914, functioned as Oba of Benin. But I think the important thing is, for both the palace and the government to work together. The key issue, big success that has been achieved.
Yes.
Eware II, the Oba of Benin, has been doing a lot in terms of preserving cultural heritage and identity. He even commissioned a book. The governor, too, has also been committed to that same ideal. He is talking about an Edo Museum of West African Arts, EMOA. But the palace is saying, look, this is the heritage of the Benin people taken from the palace, looted from the palace. Those artifacts should just come back. But they can work together. I'm sure they can find a middle ground, but we'll look forward to what His Majesty Eware II will say today. And in any case, I hope there will be no conflict between Government House and the palace. The other issue is the position of the Nigerian government about the return of 1,131 Benin bronzes from Germany. Now, the Nigerian government is saying it should be full return without condition. The German authorities are saying they will return a substantial amount. If they're going to repatriate those artifacts, they should just go ahead and do so. Because here we're talking about the legacy of slavery, the legacy of the scramble and partition of Africa.
Well, the CBN mopping up grains is part of its inflation and price stability mandate, and that's its core function. With regards to Mr. Ifeni going back in history, he's only reading what was reported in today's This Day. But my take on that is that when you go into politics, prepare to hear what your father's great-grandfather, everybody in your whole lineage has ever done, and that's just what politics is about here.
All right. Okay, Dr. Bassey. No.
Thank you, Ifeni.